Hey everybody, Zee Garcia here. Today we're going to be taking a look at a magical little tile laying game called Isle of Pan. This is actually what the game's cover looks like. This is just sort of a leaflet that came with it. But anyway, the game is a tile drafting game in which the players are going to take turns picking a tile, placing that tile out, and then walking their little character around this landscape, witnessing animals, fauna, out in the wild, or possibly finding these magical lakes and, well, scoring victory points for one of those two things. It's a fairly straightforward game with a couple of quirky rules along the way. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at it, all right? I'm going to show you briefly how the game works. And then we'll come on back after that. I'll tell you what I think of it. Here we are actually taking a look at the end of a two-player game. I'm just going to go ahead and use this to explain the game. The game just ended. Scoring was just done. This player got 28 points. This player got 31 points. And so we have a winner over here. As you can see, there are several pieces on scoring tracks. And you are going to get your final score, sum up the three different types of things you're scoring for, plus bonuses for these tiles you have left in place. This player got a bonus for the largest green area. This player happened to get a bonus for all the three areas, the largest. The stone one's not very large. It's only 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's still 4 bonus points. Anyway, let's go ahead and backtrack all that and let me explain how the game works and how it flows. You are going to begin with just the starting tile out here, which is this piece. I'll just remove some of these for now. This piece here in the middle, all right? So that's your starting tile there. You are going to place that into play. You are going to set out 3 tiles face up. These are the leftovers. And then you're good to go. Your piece begins there in the center of that. And on your turn, you are going to draft a tile. You are going to get the matching critters that match that tile. Let's say I take this one. Well, for water, you get nothing. But for the others, I'm going to get one of these little guys. For the yellow, I'm going to get a little bird of prey, the green one, for the green. Once I've got those, then I'm going to place the tile somewhere. It has to touch at least two other spaces, so at least 3 lines basically sharing a side. You do that, and then you may move your little character. You can leave him, or you can move him 1, 2, or 3 spaces. And then you are going to do one of 2 things. Now, when you're moving, you may not enter water, okay? And you can move using these magical spots as though they were teleport. So if I begin here, and this is what the map looks like, I could go 1, I could teleport to this one for 2, and then maybe move in here for 3, okay? And again, you cannot enter the water spaces. Once you're done doing that, you'll do, like I said, one of 2 things. You can observe the natural fauna in there. So that means going somewhere and depositing, or, placing from your own little supply, 1, 2, or 3 of the matching critters. And you are going to move up the corresponding track 1, 2, or 3 spaces. The other option is being next to water and claiming that lake. And so this player, as you can see, did that twice. When you are standing somewhere next to water, you can claim the lake by placing out one of these next to it. And now that's yours. Now the blue piece doesn't quite go on it yet, possibly. That's going to happen a little later. And once that's done, we replenish one of these, and it's the next player's turn. The reason for putting out the lakes and the reason for giving up those bonuses is that at any point at the end of someone's turn, when a lake is surrounded by all 3 types of critters, so in this case, this one here has the birds there, and then, these are the birds, these are the reptiles. The reptiles, the birds of prey over here, and then these little guys. Once that happens, you are going to move up any one track you want to, a number of spaces equal to how many populated hexagons are around the lake. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4. You pick the one you want, and you go up 4 spaces. So that's what you're giving up, right? This is what you're giving up, possibly, a bonus of 4 points, maybe 8 points. But you are pushing something up as much as you can. Ideally, what you want to do is have a bunch of the same kind, before you get the third kind around it. Once you do that, then you will put the little blue creature that comes up from the lake, and that means you can't do it again, and you've already gotten your bonus. And that's largely it. One final wrinkle is that whenever a piece passes this highlighted 3 space, you are going to get a bonus turn right away. At the end of that turn, when something crosses this threshold, you will take a whole other turn without drafting. You will get any one critter you want to, you will get your movement, you will get your placement or your lake deployment, okay? So you could possibly get 3 extra goes, 3 extra turns throughout the game. And as you can see the numbers here, the spaces between them, sometimes there is no number increment, especially low on the track. So it's 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. But then eventually, once you get up here, a single spot jump could be 2, 3 points, all the way on the inside. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So again, placing tiles, drafting the tile rather, gathering the little critters here from the display that is basically the box, and you just dump all the pieces in there. So you draft it, you take the pieces, you play the tile, you move your little guy, and you either deploy the little pieces or put out one of your legs. Try to get the highest score possible. Once everyone has taken a number of turns, and the game is over, and you see if you won. So there you go. Let's go ahead and go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of this tile laying game. That is the Isle of Pan. So what do I think of the game? Well, for the most part, I find it to be a pleasant little game, but largely it's a solidly mediocre, middle-of-the-road game. It's not bad. It's not particularly good, okay? A lot of my categories here are just going to get a middle score, no plus or negative on it. And that's indicative of how I feel about it, what I think of a lot of the aspects of the game. Again, nothing stands out to me as particularly problematic. On the flip side of that token, nothing stands out to me, right? That's the thing. So let's go ahead and walk through it, all right? We're going to start at the top with the theme. It's magical-esque, but really the game is largely abstract. It's an abstract tile-laying game with some movement, a couple of special abilities here and there, but the theme isn't something I think that is necessarily going to keep bringing people back. Now, the artwork might do that. The aesthetics are lovely. I think the illustrations are very nice. I unfortunately find the game, the production of the game, to be a little small and a little fiddly. Those animals that you are taking and then placing and moving your little guy, it all gets a little fiddly, especially if you have larger hands, okay? So be aware of that. Hence why I'm not giving this a big thumbs up. I like the artwork, you might not, but the production's a little problematic, The replay value here seems to me to be lower than similar tile laying games. I'm thinking, pick any one of them, right? Let's go with a famous one like Carcassonne. There's just more replayability in that than in this. And I think the reason for that is the simplicity / sort of basic nature of what you can do in this game. Just sort of, pales in comparison to something like a Carcassonne or something of that nature. So you'll get plays out of this. I think you'll enjoy playing it. I think you could come back to it and try a different thing next time. I'm just not sure the replayability there really goes the distance, okay? The game arc, which is combining, of course, the game length with the development of it, the excitement, the highs and lows, it's okay. It's middle of the road. It's not a game you'll find yourself bored by. It's not long enough for that. There's also no big amount of development along the way. So the arc is sort of flat. It's going to be the things you are doing in the last few turns in the game are very similar to what you're doing early on. There are implications as to what kind of strategy you want to pursue. But mostly, turns and the feel of the game is one that just kind of chugs along at a pretty even pace. Lastly, ease of play. There's a couple of quirky rules, which is why, again, this one you would think is pretty easy to play. But there's a couple of rules that are just sort of strange to me, and they get in the way of a truly simple, abstract, clean game, right? You would, if you wanted that kind of game, there are other games that do that, just completely pasted on theme, and they're abstract. They do that without rules getting in the way. In this one, you have that whole concept of once a token gets to 3, then you get another free turn, which is quirky. It's weird. It's a weird idea. It's one more thing to teach, and you're not quite sure why it's there. I think I know why it's there, but it still feels like an afterthought that's only there because mechanically they realized, somebody can just run one color up, and whoop everybody else. We have to incentivize getting all the colors started, or at least more than one. That's why it feels it's there. And then lastly, the one thing I am giving a thumbs up to is the tactics and the strategy in the game, the luck in the game. I like the choices in it. It's there's a pretty straightforward kind of duality to how you win the game. You can win by doing the lakes or not. And I kind of showed you both in my overview there. Depending on how big the groups are getting, you might want to hang on to the tiles, not deploy them, just get the big bonuses, or use them at really opportune times and get a big surge up on one of your 3 tracks, right? That's the main thing. That's sort of the main push. Other than that, there's not a lot of sort of exploration when it comes to what tactics shall I try today or what strategy shall I put into play today. That's sort of what you're doing. Do I think it's worth holding on to it or playing them out there and getting something to surge up 4 or 5 points, okay? Steps. So there you go. That's it for me. Like I said, it's a very middle-of-the-road kind of game, so it's getting a very average middle-of-the-road score. In my bottom line, this is going to get a 5 out of 10. Right down the middle, okay? If it looks nice to you, if you're a big fan of tile-laying games and this looks different, like something you might want to have in your collection, I don't see a problem with you going for it. I would certainly recommend you do so. If you have tile-laying games already, you really don't need this one, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend you start with this one. So, it's just kind of one of those, it's fine kind of games. So there it is. Isle of Pan, everybody. I am Zee Garcia. Thanks for checking this out with me. I'll see you on the next one.